for Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council and a past member of the Neighborhood Commission, actually. So there was one more female on there.
This is Juan Estrada, and I'm here as president of District 5 United, and I do also currently serve on the commission, and my seat will be replaced this in a couple of months.
Pat Waite, I'm president of the steering committee for the District 8 Community Roundtable over in District 8, hence the name. Also a member of the board of Friends of the Meadowlands, our neighborhood association over in Evergreen.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Rogers. I'm president of the VEP Community Association. I'm sitting another mic off here somehow. This way? That way? The speakers, okay. I'm Marilyn Rogers. I'm president of VEP Community Association, which is a large all-volunteer community association. It's not a homeowners association. So we represent about 2,800 people. South of Capitol, Branham Lane runs through it between Highway 87, Narvez, and then over to Snell. I'm also chair of Council District 10 Leadership Coalition, and I'm sure we're all going to be talking about each of those in a little bit, which is still fairly new, but we've been very active, so it's my pleasure to be here.
Hi, my name is Greg Peck. I'm chairman of the District 2 Leadership Group. I've been doing it for a little over a year. When Osh Cholera left, I helped take over the commissioner chairship. The Neighborhood Leadership Group chair. We're on a retreat right now. We're going to have a 3-hour retreat where we can get together and figure out how we're going to become better and more effective in serving our communities and all this neighborhood leadership groups. I'm also president of the Los Paseos Neighborhood Association in South San Jose by Bernal and Santa Teresa.
Again, my name is Linda Locke, and I am currently the president of the Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council, but this whole presentation was put together by Ty Greaves, a past president, and he is currently the secretary. And so all of the wonderful things that you're going to see are his doing. I wanted to make sure he got credit for that. While you're here, build and sustain a neighborhood association. The UNSCC wants results because associations solidify the community. The BCAC was founded in 1973, and it's been ongoing. We've never had a lapse in meetings at all. So we've got a lot to offer, we think. We've had people on that think it's very important to follow all kinds of procedures and make sure people know who we are and be accountable to all those people. Oops, you got there. Define common objectives that are worthy of your precious time. And I, for one, running meetings, I like to really start on time and end on time because I really value everybody's time. What will bring you together today is a great start. Connect with your neighbors, transcend the stop sign, improve the quality of life. If you look at the quality of life, all of these things we live with every day, and we want to try to make sure that we improve on those and make us proud of where we are coming from in our own district. One of the things I loved about being on the commission was to hear the love that everybody has of their own community, no matter whether it has any faults in the community or is lots of pride. Everybody has lots of pride in where they live. And then you want to give back to your community to make it stronger, okay? Make it real, but make it KISS is for sure. Outside your mind, in the world, your first accomplishments. Have documents. After a while, it started out really as a homeowners association, and then it developed into more of a community group. And we have bylaws, we have a membership list, we have monthly meetings except for July and August, hooray. And do elections. So every year in December we have elections for our officers, all of our officers every year, and have committees to work on specific things. reach out to your resources. We really try to keep our city council member involved over the years, either to be a part and come on a monthly basis to our meetings, or to send their representatives so that they hear us and we hear from them. We're on Facebook, Nextdoor. We meet every single month at our community center. That's kind of our hub. And so we try to stay there. Once in a while we have to change if something goes on. But we pretty much have our date set, and it really helps the neighborhood to know, oh, they missed this meeting, but we know next month we can be there at that time. We always have the same, it's always the second Monday of the month, and it's always starts at 7 o'clock. So if we make any changes to bylaws, we get input from our people, and then we vote on them. We vote to change anything that we have to do. We do have a bank account. We collect monthly dues so we can have coffee and cookies at our meetings. That always brings folks in and makes them happy. So, so that's what we do. So we don't have a lot of money, but we have some seed money to do things. Grow incrementally. We started out small. Our goal was to have about 30 to 40 people. And when you change your goals and start doing more things, we're up to 40 to 50 people now on a regular basis, and sometimes 60, depending on what the topic is that we're working on. So it's easy to fail if everybody isn't committed, but people come out because they love their community and they want to know what's going on. So we set expectations, we've set goals for ourselves. Our board, our executive board says, what shall we work on this year, and how do we make those things happen? And give members the opportunity to be heard and lead. So we've had somebody volunteer, they wanted to clean up the creek. Oh, good, you're in charge then, So, and that gives them a good feeling of empowerment, and we're there to support them. Somebody wanted something done at a curb site. Oh, great, be in charge of that. We'll support you. So the community feels like they have a chance to really be a part of the community and really help. And maybe they have a single focus at that time, but at least they're still a part of the community as a whole. And let's see, homelessness is an issue, and we've had workshops on that. It's really a touchy subject, and you want to get as many people involved and let them, know that their voice can be heard. Even though you can't always solve or it doesn't get solved the way you want it to be, you never know. Let people speak, let them hear what they have to say, and see if there isn't some way to help out and do things more appropriately. Be seen in the community. We're on Nextdoor, we're on Facebook. We've sponsored cleanup committees. That's the biggest thing, is there's always something to be cleaned up. We've worked on creeks and along the highways. It's interesting to work along the highways because you find the most interesting things out there, but it's also kind of nerve-wracking because the cars don't they zip right along. Candidates forums. We have school board members in our district, our various school district. We're part of Eastside Union High School District, City Council. So we've had the forums, candidate forums for those things right in our community. And you have support. You have UNCC support, that's for sure. Even with the San Jose Beautify San Jose. I called them a lot, UNCC, to find out, how do I do this? How do I do it? I couldn't even get into the computer part that I wanted to. I called them and said, help me, I need help. So they're there for you. They help you with all your documentation. We pay, for the insurance, and so you can do these activities and still have, be covered. And you have skills. Like I say, you can call them and ask them, how do you get this done, and where do I proceed from here? Things to consider. The next one. The website, that was a big thing for us, to try to get somebody that would really keep up our website, and I think they're doing that now. We have local business links. we actually, in BCAC, we started the Berryessa Business Association. What we did was we went door to door on every single business in our area and said, you know, we'd like to have you join an association, a business association, because we didn't have anything in Berryessa all these years. It just started up a couple of years ago, but it took us going door to door. And BART comes right down Capitol Avenue. And the people that were on that link, that area, they were complaining, oh, nobody listens to us. Well, because you're a single store complaining by yourself. And so they said, okay, yeah, we hear you, and they didn't do anything. But now with the business association, they have a group to answer to. So if there's a concern, you have someplace to go. We have online membership, community history. We have lots of history. We bring it up occasionally. We just had a report by one of our board members. He and his wife both were born and raised in Berryessa, in San Jose. I mean, it was so amazing to hear his report, and it was just last month. And the membership just was enthralled by finding out that here's people that have lived here, and they have all this history to talk about, simple little things. You know, it's great. So, and you want to make sure people know about your accomplishments. A lot of times it was mentioned up here already that, you know, some people have single-minded things that they want to do. Okay. Oh, yeah, you're right there. And so list your accomplishments that you have. People want to have median strips that are put together and filled with flowers or whatever, or kept up. So let them know what you've done. I made a list to give to our elected people that we have come out, and it really makes a difference. It was amazing how much we really had accomplished. So we invite, every month, we invite our city council or their representative from the mayor's office. Our school board superintendent attends all of our meetings. We have a police officer. It's usually the captain or the lieutenant that comes to all of our meetings. We haven't invited the fire department, but that is really a good idea. Every year, we have an ethnic presentation. So all of the ethnicities are every year one of them is represented. This last one was Hispanic, and we had a Folkloriate celebration. Dancers come out, and plus the speakers. So have services. Originally, we were a kind of a group that just brought people in to give us information. Then we decided we wanted to get some things done. So it's really important to get those things done that improve your quality of education or quality of life. And our last project that we're really kind of in the middle of is putting park benches in the Penitentiary Creek Park that's right behind our community center. And while we were putting them in, people were coming by and saying, thank you for doing this. There's like 3 benches in that entire park. And so they saw us putting in, and we've got 7 in and 3 to go yet. We do candidates forums, such as, you know, the city council, our school board, Berryessa School Board. So I'll quickly go through some of these things, but we also have not only men and women represented and minorities represented on our board, we also have youth membership. We have 2 high schools in our district, so we try to get one from Independence and one from Piedmont Hills. So plus our neighborhood commissioner comes all the time and gives a report, and our local association member, president, usually comes to make a report also. So make sure that you do all of those things. Get people together, let them talk, let them be a part of your community, and give them the empowerment of suggesting projects that they want to have done, and let them help you or you help them do those projects. Thank you for your attention.
Hi everybody, I'm next. I like to stand when I speak for some reason, so I'll go ahead and do so. I'll try to be quick. The one that says Juan on the right. Oh, no, you got it. The top one. I know we're short on time. We still have other speakers, so I'm going to be brief. I will skip things that I think I don't need to cover because they've already been covered, so we'll skip this. I'm Juan Estrada. Let's go. Next. We'll skip this. I was president of Lindale Neighborhood Association, and we're going to reform it. Next. I'm going to skip Safe and Strong Neighborhood. Next. Next. This one I'll talk about because it's related to the other topics. I was going to talk about neighborhood association, then I was going to talk about district leadership group. So what I want to tell you is email is best. Email is king. Nextdoor is a tool. It's a social media tool. But if you really want to reach people and have them take action, you need their email address. You're going to post something on Nextdoor, great. You might reach some people. Some people aren't looking at it. Some people may not act. So always try to get an email address. You can do flyers and newsletters, and surveys are a great way to get email addresses. If you do a survey of your residents, post it on Nextdoor, and some will respond, and then you'll have their email address. And like I said, the email address is more important than posting on Nextdoor. Next. Let's skip this. We did a paper survey or an online survey. When you do a paper survey, you still want to ask for their email address. Next. And next. And then we'll get to, for our monthly meetings, typically this is what you do. You have newly participating neighbors introduced. This is what we did. You have public officials present information. They're always a big draw, right? That's why people come to hear the experts. And then you have a major topic presentation with Q&A. And I want to tell you that I think you all know this, but you're always going to get your core group that shows up. And then the other people are the ones interested in this specific topic. So pick topics that you think are relevant. Next. Next. So District 5 United, founded in, wow, it's been 7 years almost. Oh, no, it has been 7 years. So it began as a coalition of leaders. So I'm going to tell you this is different because it began as a coalition of leaders, but it's now a base of engaged residents. And we strive to improve the quality of life in East San Jose. And I'll tell you more about what I just said, but we partner citywide when necessary. I'll give you examples. Our current reach is 4,500 residents. About 2,000 are from District 5. About 2,500 are from outside our district. Next. So here's what I said earlier. Neighborhood association meetings are not the most effective for district-wide issues. They just aren't. People come to a neighborhood association meeting because they care about their neighborhood. Some of them may care about district-wide issues. They should go to the district leadership group meeting. District 5 United was formed because there was no district-wide forum for important information at the time, and I think typically we're still the primary forum. And there was no mechanism for engaging residents district-wide when issues arose. That's the main reason it was launched, because the experience was always, oh my God, there's a hot issue, and let's rally people, and let's try to affect change, or let's try to stop it, and then let's all be dormant for a couple of years, and oh my God, another one came up. Let's start from scratch. And I didn't want that to happen anymore in District 5. I wanted to be prepared for the next one. So next, here's what I said. People have varying interests. Some have interest in neighborhood level topics. Some have interest in district level topics. Some have interest in city level topics, right? Everybody's different. Only a subset of people have interest in 2 or more levels, right? And this is important because, let's go to the next slide. And I know I'm rushing, but as I said, I want to leave time for the other speakers. So citywide issues. Rancho del Pueblo is a golf course that's primarily used by senior citizens and kids, and this was the first issue where District 5 United took a stand. At the time, I was actually hoping somebody else would take a stand and we could just join, but when no one rose, we did. And thankfully, we helped save Rancho del Pueblo from being eliminated. And to this day, I think the lesson's been learned. Nobody tries to touch it. They talk about eliminating other golf courses, but not Rancho del Pueblo, because they know, right? So next, CAP grants. This was another one. CAP grants, which are now San Jose Beautify grants, were going to be eliminated. Everyone accepted it as fact. And so then we took the lead in saying, no, we need these. And we need your help citywide. All of you, help us save these. And they were saved, and now they're San Jose Beautify. And it was residents citywide. That was citywide as well. The next one, is there's a misleading Evergreen Senior Homes initiative that I know. There we go. That if you so it's being pitched one way. It is very misleading. It's a threat to the city, and the first threat is to District 8. This is something that we are working on because it is a threat citywide, and so it threatens us as well. And let's go to the next slide. Did I have another slide? So that's it. See, I was pretty quick. What I'm going to tell you is on the things that we focus on now are advocacy and information. We don't focus on service. By service, I mean we're not going to organize a neighborhood cleanup or anything like that. We will hold meetings every other month we'll hold meetings every other month to bring important topics to people. And the other thing we do is advocacy. Thankfully, advocacy has been much more rarely needed. This is the latest one, the Senior Homes Initiative that doesn't really benefit seniors or veterans. So that's all I have. I wish I could take questions, but we've got somebody else coming up. Oh, who else? Well, there's a third one. All right.
Panels up. So yeah, I'm trying to be in front and behind the panel and the camera at the same time. So while he's pulling up the overheads, I'm Ken Pyle. I'm with, let's see, the District 1 Leadership Group, the Winchester Neighborhood Action Coalition in Hammond Park. I'm also on the Airport Commission, but I'm obviously not speaking on behalf of the Airport Commission. Just want to make sure that was clear. So success, what is success in all we're doing? I think it's been said here already, but it starts and ends with that individual connection. And we need more of that around here. And I've got a great picture of showing that, and it's showing Vince Navarra back there. He's the co-president of the Hammond Park Neighborhood Association. And it really does come down to the individuals that make success as well. And he's been a stalwart as far as just keeping the association alive and keeping it going. And, you know, I'm sure that's the same thing for all the folks that are here. It comes down to that. As was pointed out by Ed and I think Juan, people don't have time, right? That's a huge challenge. We all face it. And who has time? People who are retired maybe, or and that's about it. So I think it's incumbent on us to find tools to help people buy time. I think it's also important to go to where they are. And that may be the Little League, it may be the churches, the schools, and somehow leverage what we're already doing, what they're already doing, so we can kind of get 2 or 3 things going at the same time. That's one of the things we're trying to do as much as possible. As a couple of examples, I'll talk a little bit about the technology and what I'm trying to do back here. I am recording this, but a couple of examples of things that we've done recently, starting at the Hammond Park level. We partnered with, well, first we did some Beautify SJ grants. And one of those grants was park strip along the school. It was just a mess. So we thought, well, how could we do something? And so we applied for a city a Beautify SJ grant. And turns out our city forest came in. They had a grant to help us. So we leveraged that grant. We worked with the school. And we planted 36 trees and a couple hundred plants. And now it really starts because we get the opportunity to keep these things watered till they're established, which is about a 3-year period. We don't have irrigation. So this is one of those ready, fire, aim things, right? But I think it's okay because, you know, the school has already brought water out to where we can either do irrigation. Right now we're using hoses and so forth. But it's giving us an opportunity to reach out at the community level to get people to help volunteer. And like was mentioned earlier, this whole idea of people are seeing volunteers, those kind of grassroots efforts things, right? They start at the neighborhood level. And we also looked, well, okay, from a regional level, what can we do? And one of the thoughts was we're kind of stealing Jean Dresden's idea that she did last year as a tour through parks through D2, right? Yeah, D2, yeah. And it was a tour through the parks of D2. And it was bicycle, and I used rollerblades. So when we applied for the Beautify grant, we called it a bike, ride, and roll. With the roll being the rollerblades, the bike being the biking, and the ride, well, I was thinking people who can't do that could drive between places. Well, it turns out we're looking at things like eco-cycles, those pedicab type things, right, where they're biked and people are behind them, so people who can't bike could bike. And we have some other things. We're working, we have some ideas how we're going to work with some bike sharing companies to get bikes for people who can't, who don't have bikes. So that is an event that we're going to be doing in May 19th. This is an opportunity. It goes beyond the fun we're going to have in visiting all these parks and learning about the parks. It's an opportunity to, at each of those parks, for the neighborhood associations to have a little event there and to show off their park. So what we're trying to do is invigorate those neighborhood associations. And they include not only the neighborhood associations, but I've reached out to the Little League, where I was formerly the president, and that Little League pretty much covers our entire council district. So I think it'll be a great way to involve them. And again, you've got people doing a lot of volunteer time there, spending lots of hours, and just making them aware of some of the things that are going on. This is an opportunity to do that. Let's see, and finally, what we do in all of our presentations, as many of them as we can, at least at the Winchester NAC level, and I want to introduce this to the D1 level, and hence why I have that new little camera there that's, you can see it right here, actually. So the idea is record, because it becomes really valuable. I'm pretty lucky because this is what I do for my living, so it's relatively easy, but for me it's still even difficult, right? So I was hoping this is a $500 purchase of that little camera right there. It would be real easy, and I think the technical problems I was having actually has to do with the internet. The internet isn't here working. So is Sharon still here? We need to get the internet fixed at this site. But this offered the potential, and we do this at our WNAC meetings. We actually live stream the videos. And again, this is a great opportunity for people who can't make it. I've actually watched them a couple times live because I couldn't get a hall pass to leave that night, so I'd watch it on my computer and see what I missed. There was one meeting where I couldn't do that because I was in the Sierras, and I came back, I watched the video, and I transcribed and wrote a little article about it. And that's, if you go to winchesternac.com and look at autonomous RFI, it's on there. So in the slides, I'll talk a little bit about this camera. It's basically for less than $1,000 you can have a streaming recording solution, and it looks interesting. Once I get back and evaluate the video, maybe I'll opine more on it. Like right now, it's there we go. Now it was looking at Pat's feet, I think, but now it's looking at it's a wide angle. Yeah, excellent. So I think I've talked way too long, but winchesternac.com, d1leadershipgroup.com.
Question.
Yes.
Retire for the technology purposes.
My wife wants me to be, so I will give up the mic here.
We put together some questions that I think we're going to not have a lot of time for. What we'll probably do is go out and send it to each of the district neighborhood leader groups. And what we're trying to do is get an idea, as you can see from the questions, does your leadership group basically just include the neighborhoods, or do you basically include everybody else in the community? In other words, the original concept was that you would have all the community leaders together. In other words, the business associations, the nonprofits, community organizations, and effectively what you would do is, because you have them all pulled together, what would happen is you become the advisory for the council member. And from a political point of view, if you look at it, if you're all agreeing, or at least you work out some sort of an agreement, the council member most likely is going to support you on stuff. If you just are one group, a neighborhood group or a neighbor business group or some other group, PTA schools, you're probably not going to be as successful. The other question is, how often do you meet? If you meet very infrequently, then you're going to miss a lot of stuff. Also, do you have, how active are your committees? Do they meet on a regular basis? So the committees are looking at our budget. I'll get to the next one. History, planning, land use, and public safety. Those are usually the ones that you look at. And some of the older neighborhoods have history committees. In Willow Glen, we have one that's very successful. We put together a history book, which is a source of revenue for us. We sell about 800 to 1,000 history books a year. And so that, along with our dues, helps, finance some of the things we do. Do you have difficulty finding volunteers? So actually what you're looking at is, if you have difficulty finding volunteers, there's a way to find them. The first thing is to take a look at the boards and commissions, because every activity in the city is represented by a board and commission. So if you look at, as an example, the Neighborhood Commission, you saw what they did. You look at housing and economic development, you look at airports, you look at other ones, they're all represented. So you have people in your community that are on those, and they should be, you should talk to them and get them involved. And also, when you take a look at it, are you working with other neighbor leaders across the city? Juan is, and a number of other people, but not everybody's doing that. If we all work together, essentially what happens, that's how we ended up getting the Neighborhood Commission, Sunshine Reform, and the General Plan Update. Dave Fadness and I work with the League of Women Voters and Mercury News. We got all the neighborhood leaders together, and that's how we built the coalition to basically put it together. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I'm with her. So one of the questions, I guess, is this useful for you? In other words, would you like to have something like this on a regular basis, so that we pull together the neighborhood commissions, as well as, because the neighborhood commission has limitations because of the way they're set up, and just legal limitations, but the district neighborhood groups are essentially, I think, if they're stronger, all the neighborhoods will be stronger. And also, what we're going to do is take a look at the technology we're doing. Ken came in and showing us some technology. We're trying to basically, United Neighborhoods is going to go out and try to do surveying and also go Google Suite and some other stuff, and try to push forward on the idea that trying to get people involved who can't make meetings 7 to 9 o'clock during the weekday. And yes, John.
So you asked the question if this sort of information is helpful to us neighborhood people. I guess what I would ask for from this panel or from future meetings of this sort is a focus on best practice stuff. I think once people are here in the room, they're already in a neighborhood association and leading it. They're already trying to pull all these things together. So some of it's kind of like a little of what we already know a lot about, but if you've figured something out, boy, we did this thing, and boy, it worked really great, or we always had trouble, like in our neighborhood, we don't have a school, and I know LNA, when that really got going, you were meeting at the Lindale Elementary cafeteria, Go Lions, that's my old elementary school, so it helps to have a venue locally, right? So when you don't have a venue that can accommodate 50 people, how do you handle that, right? So those sorts of best practices in outreach, meeting management, maintaining your list to any database, all of those things, like how do we get to the next level, because I know administratively most of us usually have day jobs, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I do want to offer 2 tips. I don't know if this one will help the current question, but libraries are a great resource. They have community rooms. District 5 United meets at the library, and they're very accommodating. Like, they won't kick us out. They'll just say, close the door when you're done. So I want to tell you that that's one. Another tip, our experience was that live streaming impacted meeting attendance. So we tested live streaming of a meeting, and then we decided, no, if we're going to record it, it's going to be after. You got to come to the meeting, first dibs, and then you could watch it online afterward. So I don't know if your experience will be different, but if attendance dips, you might want to switch it. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to jump in here just so we have a couple minutes, and my partner here both want to talk. And he invited me to talk because he knows I like to talk, so I'll try to make this fast. Representing District 10, we're relatively new, 3.5 to 4.5 years old. One of the stumbling blocks, and what I wanted to do was encourage those of you that haven't started a district leadership group, because I think it's very valuable. One of the stumbling blocks is getting bylaws. You do need to have them. Most people aren't excited about developing them, so what we're trying to do is have boilerplate kinds of things for both associations, and if we can be helpful to District 10. I know SCC is doing some of that as well. So I think that's one of the things they have to get started with. Then the next thing is membership. Who do you invite? We did the typical, which is, people that were representatives of official, organized, acknowledged by the city neighborhood associations. We expanded that then to some that we're trying. We're also just recently trying to build our membership, attendance at meetings. We started to invite leadership, people that were leads in neighborhood groups, the next door neighborhood groups I'm talking about. They're not official, but they came as guests. We're going to see if they're interested in going ahead and forming an official organization. The reason you want to be an official organization is one big reason is money. You can go after what was called CAP grants, now it's called San Jose Beautify. We are also an organization, we're an umbrella organization as a district leadership group, and we went through that process so that we can get grants. We got the new grant under the large grant now, as of this year for San Jose Beautify, and we're helping our neighborhood associations through we call them mini grants. We did it last year, mini grants to do block parties, et cetera, et cetera. They had to follow certain criteria that were legitimate and accepted by the city. There's always issues in terms of how do you get money. Some of the larger organizations in our area, Hamilton Valley and VEP, had some money, so we donated some money to help get D10 leadership started. Those are usually the issues that people face. Membership, how do you get money? How do you grow your membership, and so forth? And then how do you communicate? So I'm interested in televised. We don't meet in the evening. We meet Saturday morning every other month, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, and it's in our big community center in Almaden, the library community center. Your elected official, your council member can help you that if you don't have funds, etc. So there are ways to get meeting places if it's not easy. But I know a lot of them. There's a lot of places. I mean, that's going in the south of our district, so it's ways for us that live in the north end to travel. But at least there's some place for us to meet. I think there's a lot of enthusiasm. I'm enthusiastic about district leadership groups, believe me. I'm so happy to hear the suggestions about getting those groups of folks together. We are leaders in our council districts, and we need to make sure that we act like it and that we help provide that assistance to our council member and to our neighborhood association. So I think that's enough.
I'll be briefer.
Okay.
I'll put two things out there. The most important thing you can do to guarantee success at the leadership organization is to plan. We're trying to invite speakers who are very busy but that people want to see. And when I first joined the steering committee in 2009, I think, they were meeting, the steering committee would meet 2 weeks before the meeting to plan the meeting out. We now know what we're going to do through September this year. We had Mayor Liccardo come and speak to us in February, and he's a tough get. We've got Larry Stone coming to talk to us at our next meeting. He's a tough get. But if you know in November what you're going to be doing in January, February, March, April, May, it's pretty easy to line them up, and that is really key to running a successful organization. The second thing, and it's just an observation, Dave Cortese founded the District 8 Community Roundtable back in, I think it was 2005. And it started as a group of neighborhood leadership group leaders coming together. So, and it morphed over time, like I've heard in D5, into not being that, but being a bunch of people interested in the health and success of the community. Because neighborhood organizations come and go, they usually get fired up over some important issue. So in 2005 and 6, the important issue in District 8 was the Evergreen Development Plan. And there were tons of people wanting tons of opportunities to provide tons of input into whether or not things should be developed. And so that was huge. We now get 25 to 35 people at our monthly meetings. If we do a public safety one, we get 125 or 150, depending upon how many burglaries there have been. But it's an ebb and a flow, and we've tried all sorts of outreach and ideas to get consistently around 50, and we just can't fight it because we are busy people. And so it's tough. Don't get disheartened about not having consistently high attendance, I guess would be my message. And thank you all for coming and listening to us. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I want to
by
add
the way.
a tip if I can, since there was a request for tips. So if you're a district leadership group, you want to connect to the resident. It's good to be a coalition. It's good to have leaders in your coalition. It's good to reach leaders. But leaders don't always have the same interests. They may not want to save the golf course used by senior citizens. And then there's a bottleneck, right? And so in every case, you want to reach the resident. And so when I told you earlier, we now reach 4,500 people. Those are 4,500 people that will engage. And great, leader's going to get notified, but the person's going to get notified too. So I definitely want to point that out. And then to his point, I talked about different interests. Some people are interested in showing up in a meeting and doing something, and that is great. Always know that you're going to have those people. But when you reach people via email, there are people who want to sit at home and take an action, and you want to reach those people too. They may never, ever come to a meeting. That's okay. You don't need them for that, okay?
And I just say bravo to that too, but that's at another level. And I think you start with people, and there's two main interests. They're either interested in education, they want access to elected officials, or two, they want to have fun. Fun can be doing community projects, old-fashioned cleanup, or doing the block party. So, I mean, there's a variety. When you say you do have to look at different interests, I think that's a very valuable point. So just want to say that.
The District 2 leadership group is, as I said earlier, is on some sort of a recess right now because as the year finished, we had some issues of attendance in our leadership group meetings. We have 13 neighborhood associations in District 2. We would have maybe 5 to 6 show up at our monthly or every other month meeting. So I've decided to have a retreat where we can get together for more than just 2 hours. We're going to have 2 sessions of 3-hour meetings to brainstorm how we're going to get this neighborhood leadership group becoming more effective, as I said earlier. As far as neighborhood associations, one thing about collecting some money maybe is to contact your realtor in your neighborhood that are selling homes in your neighborhood. Sometimes they would give donations to a neighborhood association. We've had several of them do that for us. So I want to thank this panel up here. I've learned a lot today. I haven't been doing this very long, but I've learned a lot about engagement with neighbors and also with neighborhood associations. Thank you all.
I just want to say real quick, too, I'm District 4, Linda Locke, and we always send out our agendas by email nowadays, but we do a robocall or whatever they call them the Sunday before our Monday meeting, and people really like to hear that. She does a real nice job of explaining the agenda, and they always tell us how nice it is, and if she misses once in a great 100-year while, they say, oh, she didn't call us, what's going on. So it makes it a little more personal, so it's a nice thing to do. It's a robo. She makes the call. I mean, our board member she reads the thing and then it goes out as a robo. Yeah. So. Oh yeah. We pay for a service that does that. So 4:00 on Sunday morning when the phone rings. Sunday evening, afternoon, really not morning. No. Sunday afternoon. I always know, oh, that's going to be Marlou calling. So it's very nice.
But I think is that we really want to encourage other people to do this. It is some time, but it's worth it. And I think I've been very involved with District 2 and District 9, and because of where I live, my proximity. So we all come close together there, and I think I'm really excited about the opportunity that maybe we can meet as leadership groups with other council districts. I think that'd be really helpful because there's some very nice people that are represented here, and I think I'm always looking for fun on top of the work. So it's like, so is that it? Or are we finished? I guess we're finished. Thank you.
we're running up against a time limitation. What we can do is, one of the questions we'll do is we'll send out to the district neighborhood groups to try to go over basically the committee presentation as well as the improving the communications. The United Neighbors Board is looking at how we can use technology, and we'll send out some information on that and get everybody's input. The main thing I want to talk about or get input on is, what do you want for the September conference? And I think that's probably another thing that we can send out and get a survey on. And if we'll do it in the next week or so. And if everybody would come back on it. Is there anybody at this point in time, are there any particular topics that are important to everybody?
Well, I don't, yeah, if I can make another comment, you might want to consider even doing a pilot with leadership, district leadership folks, and bringing them together at some point, just to help with that planning.
Yeah, what we'd like to do is get United Neighborhoods. Right now, we are looking for additional board members, and what we try to do is get a board member from each of the council districts. Right now, we don't have that. So we'll ask if people have an interest of being on the board, because that would help us do the planning. But also, if you can't do that, then what we need to do is try to get somebody from each district to basically help us input the information so we do it.
I'm one of the 6 founders that founded the association. So anyway, in our district, we have our city council, Tam Nguyen. He's our city council. And there's a lot of homeless situation going on in our district. And our district is getting impacted. And I've addressed it to the mayor, I've addressed it to the city council, and other districts need to take the blunt of what's going on in our district.
At the conference, take a look at how the subject will be homeless.
Sir, I'd just like to answer your question, and I'm one of the neighborhood commissioners. The Neighborhoods Commission in the past was talking about homeless issues. However, the City Council has actually given us direction not to address homelessness, and the reason for that is there's a City Housing Commission, completely different commission, and they are given a direction by the council to work on homelessness issues. And your district does have a commissioner, so I would really encourage you to reach out to that individual, express your concerns, and also if you can attend the Housing Commission meetings, that's the appropriate way to get that input into not only your council member, but the city council as a whole.
Well, I just wanted to add, I have addressed that about the homeless situation, but the homeless still keep in our area, they still come in our area, District 7. I mean, other districts need to take the blunt of what's going on. But I guess the Housing Commission, they don't want to do that because they're saying it's centrally located, so District 7 is great. But to me, that's a dumping ground.
I know you need to cut this off, but I'm going to just make a comment, because we've had a huge impact in our neighborhood. We've got 5 agencies we're trying to work with. By that I mean Caltrans, the city, VTA, county, state, blah, blah, blah. So it depends on who the property owner is too. So there's lots of issues. I'd like to talk to you about it. I have a concern that this only goes through housing. Housing is the overriding huge issue. This impacts neighborhoods. And I know it can't be the Neighborhoods Commission, but maybe that's something that the district leadership group can take on, because I've got strong feelings about that issue.
And just one more thing, sir, I'd be glad to talk to you after the meeting.
All right?
We've got to wrap it up at this point in time, and thank you very much for coming.